everybody. This is Amanda Kulong reporting to you live at TechZulu.com from Source13. And we've got some party music going on in the background. This after party is about to kick in. But before we jump off camera and go dance, I want to introduce you to Keval Desai with InterWest Partners. Now, you just got off stage talking about the investment community and how investment in mobile is shifting and changing, correct?
That's right. We really are at the forefront of a massive shift in communication, media, entertainment, commerce, whatever you want to call it. And we just had a panel talking about what's to come next. I mean, if you think about what's happened over the last 5 years, we've had the iPhone that introduced in 2007, and now we have 1.2 billion people on the planet with smart devices, phones, tablets. And the question that comes to a lot of people's mind is, are we done? You know, is there anything else that's going to come after, Google and Facebook?
Next?
Where next? And I think what I look at it, the way I look at it is that there are 7 billion people on the planet, and Facebook has 1 billion of those, and there are 1.2 billion smartphone users. So those billion numbers sounds really big, and Facebook and Google are very big companies, and Apple is the most valuable company in the world, but still most of the world's population, 85% of the world's population doesn't have a smartphone.
That really changes the perspective now, doesn't it?
So you could start a company today in 2013 and still have bigger market share than Google, Apple, and Facebook. So I'm very optimistic about the future. It's a great time to be an investor and an entrepreneur.
Oh, I like the way you think. So, as it relates to mobile investments, what specifically are you looking for? What really piques your interest?
Well, we are investors across the entire mobile technology stack. Everything from power supplies that go into our smartphones to consumer apps and applications that are in the healthcare arena. We just had a discussion on the panel about, despite all the innovations in mobile, one of the fundamental problems we have is that we don't have enough bandwidth.
Right.
You go to a show like this or at CES, which just happened last week, and a lot of us are still clamoring for just basic, simple access.
Right.
So I think infrastructure is still a area of investment for us.
Sure.
You look at power supplies. How many times a day do you have to charge your phone?
Yeah.
So we have an investment in a company called Quantance that allows the battery of the smartphone to last an hour longer, an hour a day, and that could improve your productivity. We have an investment in a company called, sort of going up the stack in the consumer space. Obviously we're investors in Flurry, as you know.
Right.
But we have started investing in companies that are mobile first in the true sense, meaning that these companies that could not have existed until the smartphone came around in abundance. So it's a company called Triposo, which is a mobile travel guide that allows you, in 8,000 cities across the world, it allows you to say, well, just show up as a traveler, and instead of planning, discover great things around you and let the phone do the work for you. So you show up in a place and it tells you based on the time of the day, the weather, and location, what to do. So for example, right now it's about 5 o'clock in San Francisco, and as you can hear in the background, it's happy hour time. And so if we were using Triposo right now, it would tell you that there are several bars and restaurants around us in the next, within a vicinity of a mile, and it allows travelers to enjoy themselves as opposed to getting stressed about the planning and hassle of traveling. So we're doing things like that. We have a company called Hippocrates, which actually was the first mobile app for physicians. And it was an investment we actually made 8-9 years ago. That the company went public in 2011 and just got recently acquired by a large medical company. So we've been investing across the entire mobile stack.
So what I'm hearing from you then is there's still the need for some enabling technologies, and then there's obviously a huge opportunity with mobile first.
Yeah.
And it seems like even some passive experiences where things are just sort of given to you, presented to you, handed over, and you don't have to think because the technology itself is smart enough to do it for you.
That's a great point. If you look at the internet, at least from the consumer perspective, how the internet has evolved over the last 20 years. I was fortunate to be part of Google for almost 7 years, and if you look at the Google era, I think it was a search era. People sat in front of their computers, you typed into the computer, and you were looking for information, you were searching. And I think if you think about the tablet experience, if you think about the tablet, which is more of a laid-back, television type experience where you are not looking for things, but you're discovering things as they're pushed to you. So I think that the consumer internet over the last 20 years have evolved from what I call a search economy, where we were looking for things, to a want economy. We're looking for things that we needed, but now we're open to things that we don't necessarily need, but once they're shown to us, we want them, just like watching television. And interestingly enough, the want economy is much bigger than the need economy. If you think about how much money we as consumers spend on electricity, phone, shelter, so basic necessities of life, food, and compare that money with the amount of money we spend on entertainment, clothing, movies, going to nice restaurants, traveling. We spend a lot more money on things that we don't need, but things that we want.
Right. Now, one thing I haven't asked all day long, and you seem an appropriate person to ask this of. You worked at Dig for a while, discovering content. Content that you want, content that you want and need, I suppose, but especially as it relates to my format here, news. How is mobile changing the news experience, the storytelling experience? That's something I'm personally interested in.
Great question. I think it's changing it in a couple of ways, and I think it's making content discovery more relevant for the end user and more timely. So a great example is Twitter. I mean, if you think about Twitter as an application, it's way more valuable on your smartphone or your tablet because you have the phone with you all the time. And this real-time nature of mobile devices, that you don't have to wait to get back to your office or to your home office where you can sit in front of your computer. You have the computer in your pocket 24/7. So real-time news discovery, if you will, is absolutely enhanced by a mobile device. Location is another one. If you are looking for highly local news, news that is happening within a half a mile of your location, proximity-driven news, mobile device makes it much more easier, both to produce that kind of news, crowdsource, for example, people taking photos of an event, people taking, if the Giants win the World Series, and people are out in San Francisco celebrating, and all of that news information is being captured on people's smartphones and immediately transmitted across social networks and from peer-to-peer fashion. And then I think for this format that we're in right now, which is video, you look at YouTube. While YouTube's been great as a source for consumption, producing and consuming video, but until very recently it was a very desktop-driven experience. But now with tablets, you think about the tablet experience, especially in the living room, where we have a high bandwidth because of Wi-Fi. I think that a lot many more videos are being watched on tablets than they were ever being watched on a desktop device. Why? Because the tablet, again, is with you. You don't have to go and get yourself into the office or the home office. You can be in the living room. You can be in the kitchen. You can be in the bathroom. Let's admit it.
People do. Admit it. Don't lie.
And you are watching now videos in more places throughout the day than ever before. So I think it's certainly making it easier to distribute content and engage users throughout the day. So the news cycle that I think had a little bit of a dead time is no longer. I think we're always on, a truly always on global news network.
We also have so many applications, right, that make it easy and democratize the ability for anyone to create content through like apps like Vidi and Justin TV's had a number of different things come out as well, Social Cam, things like that, where anyone can easily create this content.
Yeah, we are all producers now. Anyone can be a consumer and a producer at the same time. So you're right. The cost, especially when it comes to video, the cost of producing a video has come down dramatically. And you see, there is some innovation there in the startup community. You see companies like Machinima or Maker Studio, for example, which are taking advantage of this low cost of video production and essentially coming up with a new studio model where you as a independent artist could go to a Maker Studio or a Machinima and get a high quality content produced, and then with platforms like YouTube and others distribute that. We have a company called Joyous that we're investors in, which is, we're very excited about that. It's a ex-colleague of mine from Google who is the founder. And Joyous's entire business model is that they're a video commerce company. It's sort of like QVC or the home shopping network on television, but now they're making that available on the internet and through mobile devices. So you could be sitting in your home at your tablet, or you could be on a bus or a train, or you could be here and you have 2 minutes and you watch a very simple 2-minute video clip of a dress or a
squeegee of some kind that I
device that
absolutely
you know how
didn't
to
know that I
operate.
need, but now I need it.
Exactly. So it's taking advantage of, again, this ubiquitous video distribution through tablets, high bandwidth experience, and turning what used to be the proprietary domain of large studios and cable companies into a very democratized video production and distribution platform. And I think it's going to have a huge impact on how professional video gets consumed over the next few years. I think YouTube, until very recently, has been mostly about long tail content. But I think you're going to start seeing television quality content getting produced and distributed in a very democratic fashion.
You sound like you live in Los Angeles. I think you should spend some time down there. Just my thought.
I take that as a compliment, although I'm an engineer by training, so I think I found my home and it's here.
Well, we would love to have you visit LA, at least.
Do that, thank you.
Any parting thoughts about Source13? I mean, this is the very first Source13 event that Flurry has produced. What do you think?
Well, hopefully you enjoyed it, and certainly the feedback today has been very, very overwhelmingly great, and we appreciate it. I mean, I think my parting thought is what I mentioned on stage, is that I think that we're really at the beginning of this mobile wave that's transforming everything. And I gave an example. I have a 3.5-year-old son, and he woke up at 6 a.m. this morning, and his first ask was, "Dad, where's my iPad?" He didn't say good morning. He didn't say how are you. He just said, "Where's my iPad?" And he was on the iPad from 6 a.m. in the morning. And then I have my mom is 76 years old, and she lives in Bombay. Yeah. And when she goes to bed at night, at midnight, she has her iPad with her where she watches Bollywood movies on it, right? So
I was going to say, is she actually on her iPad talking with your son, going back and forth?
She does that too as well, absolutely. Video chat is a big thing in our household because of the distributed nature of our family. But you think about this, so you say, there was this kid who was 3.5 years old, and his whole life is ahead of him. Every single thing he's going to do in his life, education, entertainment, dating, work, is all going to be around these mobile devices. That's mobile first. That's an example of mobile first. He doesn't know anything except the mobile economy. And then there is my mom, who is sort of towards the end of her life, but she's also sort of the mobile last, and she's going to be a consumer of mobile devices. So you look at this ecosystem.
Wait, what are you doing in the middle of all of this? Because grandma's talking to grandson, so.
I mean, I'm trying to just pay the bills and make sure everything. They have these devices available to them 24/7. That's what I get to do, I guess. But you think about it, so from 3 years to 76 years old, from 6 a.m. in the morning to midnight, that is a huge opportunity. That we have never seen a medium like that, whether it's television or radio or print or even the telephone. Those devices were not with us from 6 a.m. till midnight, and they were not there for a 3-year-old kid as they are with a 76-year-old woman. What mobile has done is unprecedented. And we don't have to think big numbers. You can just personalize it. You can look in your own life. You can look about how you're living now, you're working today, and you see that impact is felt firsthand by most of us. So I think that we're really living in a great time. The best is yet to come. And there are 7 billion people in the world going to 14 billion, and that is I can't even think that big enough how big that opportunity is.
What do those big data numbers even mean?
Exactly.
That's huge.
We haven't seen what big data really means, and it's a great time to be an entrepreneur and an investor. That's all I can say.
Well, thank you so much. What a wonderful high note to end on. Everyone, this is Keval Desai with InterWest Partners. And I think it's time for us to start boogieing out on the dance floor. So I am going to leave you with that because I couldn't do a better job than Keval over here. So everybody, I hope you've had a wonderful time here watching live on TechZulu, Source13, the very first one. There will be 14, 15, and onward and upward. So until next time, I'm your host, Amanda Kulong. Look forward to it. See you next time.